Hey everyone, welcome to PunkCast. My name is William Maxwell. I'm a student of Web3 and the owner of Punk1287. CryptoPunks are 10,000 uniquely generated characters stored permanently on the Ethereum blockchain. No punk is the same. This is a show dedicated to celebrating the punks behind the punk. My hope for this podcast is that we capture the essence of the punk culture, elevate the brand and the individual behind the punk. One last thing. Projects discussed on the show is not financial advice. Crypto and NFTs are a volatile and risky asset class. Please always do your own research. Other than that, let's go.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of PunkCast. Today we're back with Punk1287. He's a clean punk with 2 Addys, a cap, and silver chain. In real life, he's a professional investor and has carried senior roles at top-tier global investment banks. He's also an avid cyclist and an NFT collector. Please welcome Racing Ralph to the show. Ralph, how are you?
Thanks. Hi, Max. And thanks for having me.
No, welcome. Ralph, finally, nice to sort of connect with you because I know we've been sort of playing a little bit of tag on Twitter and I sort of love the collections that you've been curating for yourself and, you know, really excited to get to know you and your story. But I guess before we kick off into all of that, you know, what's the story behind Racing Ralph? Like, why did you come up with Racing Ralph as a handle?
Well, that has to do with my cycling past. Actually, there was, in the beginning, when I started cycling, I did more mountain biking. And there was from Schwalbe, that's a tire producer, they had one model of tire and that was called Racing Ralph. And Stephanie, my wife, she came up with that nickname a long time ago. So, you know, when I started my Twitter account, it was in 2009, and I was not really active on Twitter at all, and that name just came into my mind, and I used it. But that was more of by chance than anything else.
Perfect. That's very fitting. I recently got into cycling as well, so I think we'll probably be interested to get to know your cycling story as part of your background. But why don't you sort of give us an introduction to, I guess, your background? I mean, I think I've touched a little bit on it around investment banking career and stuff like that, but it'd be good to sort of understand, you know, where you sort of grew up and how you got into finance, and then basically, you know, we can talk about that transition from finance into crypto.
Yeah, I grew up in Switzerland. Then I did my studies in Switzerland, went then to the United States for a master's degree and started in 1984 at the MBA program at First Boston in New York. I then went back to Switzerland and was, spent a larger part of my career in institutional equity sales. First at First Boston, then at Nomura, then at Credit Suisse, and later on at the smaller bank, Swiss Bank. And in 1997, I started with 2 friends a small investment banking boutique. We started then also to focus more on investing in venture and private equity. And that's what I did basically since then, investing in focusing on private equity and venture investments. My first venture investment was in 1996. Bought a few shares of what eventually was to be BioMarine. So that was a pretty successful investment.
Which company was that?
BioMarine. It's an American biotech company located north of San Francisco.
Okay, cool.
So a long time ago, the company is now public and doing pretty well. And one of my other good investments was on running shoes. Maybe you're familiar with them.
Very,
So
yes.
I was also one of an early investor in that company. So these are now two examples of successful investments, but there have been many which went to zero.
Sounds like my crypto portfolio at the moment.
Yeah.
So Ralph, just take us back a little bit too. So you grew up in Switzerland, studied in the US. I like to sort of ask this question for most people: is like, of all the things you could have studied, like, why did you get into finance? Was there a particular reason for that?
Actually, it was never a question to me. My father was a businessman. He had his own businesses, and to me, it was always clear that I would study business, finance, and not necessarily that I would go into banking, but at least that I would try to be an entrepreneur sooner or later.
Gotcha. And just on that basis, then, was it a natural sort of transition away from, traditional investment banking to stepping out, running your own sort of private equity shop with your friend, or was that a big decision to make at that time, or is that sort of a pretty easy one for you?
No, that was pretty easy. I mean, we had when I was working at PISA Bank, that was a small, basically a Swiss merchant bank. We were encouraged by by the owner and my boss to invest alongside of whatever he invested in, and that gave me the opportunity to start to making some money, and that helped me then to be able to make that step in starting my own small outfit.
Gotcha. And do you like investing in specific sort of industries? I mean, you mentioned on running shoes and sort of biotech, but do you have a favorite, or are you sort of agnostic?
No, it was pretty opportunistic.
Yeah.
Some direct investments in the US and mainly in Switzerland, and then some investments into LLPs and things like that. So more like some venture and some private equity geographically, US, Switzerland a bit, in Europe, then at certain times in China and in India.
Gotcha. Amazing. And then, so through all of this, I mean, that's a pretty strong TradFi record that you've got going on. What sort of piqued your interest into crypto? How did you get into crypto?
That's a good story. Actually, I looked up my old emails, and in 2000, December 2013, I don't remember why I wanted to buy some Bitcoin. Probably read in the paper about it, but didn't hear it from any friends or so. So I had nobody basically helping me. So I'm not really, I don't have any tech background. And so I started to look into it and tried to open a wallet at Mt. Gox at that time. And the process was, took basically about 2 weeks. And by the time I was able to have that wallet, Mt. Gox got into these difficulties. And so I decided now not to buy any Bitcoins, and basically forgot about Bitcoin for quite some time, unfortunately, I must say. And so that was it basically for quite a long time. And during 2021, I had a few bigger exits. Most of my money was really locked in private equity, so I didn't have that much liquidity, and was not really participating in the public market, and of course not in crypto. But by 2021, I had some bigger exits, and then I started to look into into public equities again, and somehow into crypto, and decided to buy Bitcoin. So I started to buy a bit of Bitcoin in basically at the absolute top of the last cycle. But I continued to buy and really bought through 2022 through 2023. So basically averaging down, and that was a good thing. So my cost is much lower than the actual price now. So first I started to buy Bitcoin, then I added ETH, and then later on I added some Solana, and now we're coming to the NFTs in early 2022. I thought, okay, I want to buy an NFT as well, just to understand the process of buying one. So I opened the wallet, Coinbase, and tried to transfer some funds to Coinbase. Was pretty difficult. The banks didn't want to do it, and back and forth. And finally, I was able to put some money there, and then I bought. I think it was March 2022. I bought the On-Chain Monkey.
That was your first NFT?
That was my first NFT.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then I looked at. I think I knew I had to go to OpenSea, so I looked at OpenSea, looked at a few projects. Somehow liked those On-Chain Monkeys. It took me about 15 minutes, like these On-Chain Monkeys, and bought one.
They're doing quite well. So I mean, like, what are they worth now? The full prices of the On-Chain Monkeys.
They are now on. You can move them. The Genesis, you can move them from ETH to Bitcoin. So I think on Bitcoin they are about 0.85 Bitcoin, the floor.
An On-Chain Monkey?
Yeah.
0.85?
0.085. 0.085.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. That's still pretty good. I mean, like, as your first NFT in the space, I mean, it's still up. And I'm just checking the floor price now. So it's about 1.5 ETH on ETH.
Yeah, but I think at that time I paid 3 ETH.
I see. Okay.
I paid 3 ETH, and then I didn't look at them anymore for a year.
Yeah.
I bought it. I then learned how to do it, but I was not really that interested in it anymore.
So to talk to us about that. Like, at what point did your interest in NFT sort of change? I mean, you were just experimenting. It sounded like you were just curious and you weren't just experimenting with non-custodial wallets and like. At what point did you sort of get interested in?
Then a year later, I'm a subscriber of Real Vision.
Yep, Raoul Palm, also a punk.
Yeah. Raoul Palm, he's punk. But so I Real Vision had then about a year later. That was in spring 23. They had, to educate their subscribers, they had this sale of kind of membership NFTs.
Really?
The Real Vision Collective, it's called. So then I started to look into it again and participated in these mints. So these were my first mints. Made a few mistakes. Lost about 10 or 15 ETH in about 3 scams. So I went through that learning process as well.
It's the ticket to play, unfortunately.
It is a ticket to enter that, absolutely. And there I started to look into NFTs again, and then started to add to, since On-Chain Monkey was next to these Real Vision NFTs, my only really NFT, started to look more closely into the universe of the On-Chain Monkeys and added Genesis and learned about the whole project and started to like it more and more. So then the next step was, okay, now I have 10 sets of on-chain monkeys, and I have these Real Vision NFTs. But really, I started to get interested I wanted to buy a punk. First, I was not sure whether to buy a punk or a Bored Ape, but pretty quickly decided that I preferred punks.
What help us understand that journey? Like, how did you hear about punks, and what ultimately led you to pick a punk over an ape?
You see, none of my friends do even know what punks are. They hardly know maybe what NFTs are. They are not involved in crypto, so I didn't have anybody in my environment showing me punks. So I don't really remember. Yeah, probably I listen a lot to podcasts, and I guess it was from some podcasts, maybe from these Real Vision podcasts or some other podcasts. But somehow I started to hear about punks and started to look into them and like them, and decided to buy one. And at the same time, I thought somebody told me about generative art, about fidenzas, ringers, squiggles, and I started to look into these as well. And said, okay, now let's put some money into these things. I buy one fidenza and one punk. So basically, that's what I did.
So just so I understand as well, Ralph, why did you buy? Was it just out of curiosity again, or because I mean, they were pretty expensive sort of experiments, if you like, if they were, or are you looking to sort of build a collection? Are you collecting yourself, looking to build something for the long term? What was it about, I guess, the punk and fidenza for you that you had to get?
First of all, I was interested in it. It was something completely new to me, and I started it started to fascinate me, the market, the transparency. And then my thesis was that, I had all these ETH already. So I thought, okay, if I buy these high quality blue chip NFTs with these ETHs, which I already owned, my thesis was that it would eventually go up in price again, and these NFTs probably as well on top of it. So that was my simple thesis. And then originally I just wanted to buy these two or so.
Yeah. Well, I think you've made some really good choices in 1287, and also the Denza that you have. You've got two Denza, but which one came first? Was it the Lux Pellet?
The greenish one.
The greenish one came first. Okay. Yeah. So they're beautiful, sort of must-have for any diehard and NFT collectors as well. But in terms of your punk, so 1287, really clean looking punk, purple hat, and the almost hidden silver chain. Of all the punks you could have chosen, like, how did you come to picking 1287?
No, first I bought another one. That was I just bought the punk. I didn't have much of an idea, so gotcha. I looked a bit, at the rarity ranking and the price, and bought the punk, which didn't really resemble me at all.
Which punk was that?
That was, I think,
what attributes?
It had a fedora. It was pretty dark.
Okay.
I don't remember its number.
That's okay. That's okay. That's cool. Yeah.
I bought that one, and after a while I thought, doesn't really resemble me. If I want to use it as a PFP, it's not really me. And then I started to look. I decided to buy one which would resemble me more, or came closer to the way I look. And could have been a bald one, obviously, but at that time I didn't find one. And when I go, outdoors, I need to wear a hat because my skin shouldn't get any sun anymore. So then I started to like this the purple cap and the albino, and thought, well, it's me.
Yeah, he's super clean. I've got your previous punk up. It was 6435.
Yes,
It's got the classic shades, fedora, and also the chocolate eating goatee that everybody loves. And I also see the other couple of punks. So obviously, Steph, your wife's beautiful punk, the Wild White, and also you've got Punk1287, who's a wild purple hair punk with big shades and handlebar. He's pretty cool too. So did you have like a thing for things that are purple after your purple hat?
not really, but now yes, but I didn't have it before. So the second punk. A while ago, my wife has 2 sons and I have 1 son. So we thought, first of all, we thought it's still a good time to add punks to our collection. And then we thought, well, why don't we buy punks which we eventually can maybe one day give to our sons. So I bought, and then my son has pretty long hair. And I tried to find a punk which resembles him. And my wife, Stephanie, did the same. She bought two punks which are pretty similar. Both have a mask. And at the time when she bought them, they were about at the same price level. So
so just looking at her wallet now, so she's got 2 with a mask, one with the bowler headband.
Yes,
which is really clean and cool, and the other one with the peak spike, which is pretty clean as well. Oh wow! So who got who into punks first, Ralph? Was it you that got Steph into punks, or Steph got you into punks?
No, me. I bought one, then the other one, and I told her, basically you should buy a punk as well. And then she wanted to buy, we were looking at the punks, and she liked at that time, that was shortly after I bought my first one. She liked the wild gray one, a white one. And, but, she had her ETH in a Swiss bank. And to transfer the ETH to Coinbase, to her wallet, it took about 2 days, and by the time the ETH would arrive at her wallet at Coinbase, that punk was gone.
Shame.
And then there was no Wild White one available at that time. So she then bought ringers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Instead. And that was it for her. Then she didn't think about punks anymore. She was happy with the ringers, and when we drive long distance, I usually listen to podcasts, more crypto specific podcasts, and Steph was sitting next to me and was not that interested in these podcasts. So then I thought, then I started to listen to your podcast as well, and thought that is something which would interest her. And we started to listen on long drives to your podcasts.
Oh, wow.
Stories about the different punks and this and that. And then she really started to like it.
Amazing.
And she told me now I think it's the time that I want to buy a punk.
Amazing. That's so nice to hear that people are actually listening to our podcast. But now she's got some amazing taste as well, and getting into, I guess, like the thing about once you get into punks, you have to find a way to get into gen art, right? I mean, the whole art blocks movement was created by a punk Snowfro himself, and the whole concept of gen art and everything that sort of comes out of it, stems from CryptoPunks in some ways. But And then I could sort of see your collecting sort of behavior sort of going towards it. But I'm just having a look at your ringer as well. It's a beautiful one, and it's got the 888 numbers. That must be highly sought after as well.
That 888, yeah. You know who gave me the hint? Susan NFT gave me the hint to that.
Of course she did.
That could be something, especially for the Chinese collectors, which could be of value.
Of course you did. Suzanne's always got the alpha. Well, what an amazing collection you've got. And I also see that you've got Windsor Yawanoa, which is a punk fave, and obviously the Chromos Figures as well. So wow, what a amazing collection you've got.
Yeah, the thing is, as I told you, originally I planned to buy a punk and maybe one Fidenza or so, and you see it ended up differently. I really started to like it and got almost a bit obsessed about it. And during the last summer, I really was buying a lot and building up a nice collection. I think I thought I believe that timing wise, I was pretty lucky that I was able to buy it during this bear market. And now I'm pretty happy with it, and we'll see how it develops. But I'm not really planning. I'm not planning to sell. I just keep it. If I don't really need to sell anything, I don't sell anything.
Do you collect art, traditional art, like physical art at home or anything at all, or
really?
Oh wow! So just purely digital. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I like the transparency. I like the easiness of looking at it, of comparing it. You have a market, you see prices, you can, it just gives me better feeling than, walking into galleries and try to figure out what to buy in the real world.
Basically. Yeah, absolutely. I always found going to some of those, art basels and stuff quite a little bit intimidating for somebody that's not in the art world. And I think with this, you could sort of, do desktop analysis and triangulate, which one's legitimate and which one's not. And everything's on chain, which is kind of cool. What do you do with your Fidenzas? Have you got the prints made, or you're going to keep them intact?
Prints. I have to. So the Fidenzas I have prints. They already hanging up in our apartment in Davos. Now we have together, Steph and me, we have four ringers, and we will have them printed as well. Amazing. And put them into our apartment in Basel. Then I have the prints. We have the prints of all our 5 punks.
Yeah. Did you get the ones from Avant Art?
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm waiting for mine too. That's going to be really cool.
We have the 10,000 print as well.
Yeah.
And I have, from Jack Butcher, the Jack's Element.
No, I'm not familiar with that one. What is that?
Well, it's a small edition. I think 144.
Oh yes. I checked on it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
A bit different to the rest he's doing, and I have one. I have that one also in print. So I still have to have it framed, and we'll hang that up as well. And then I need to buy a screen, for all these AI, like the Winds of Yamavana and others. I have a piece from Elon Derrett.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I saw that actually. So Elon's obviously another huge punk as well. So I saw on your foundation account, you've got a few of his pieces. And then you like collecting photography as well, like as another... Yeah.
I have quite a lot of photographs as well.
It's beautiful.
I started to buy a bit on Solana. You don't see these. It's also mostly photographs.
Yeah,
but I have to slow down.
Not enough faith. or for me anyway. It is a bit of a bottomless pit. But okay, so if we go back to punks for a little bit, like if ETH wasn't an issue for you, like do you have like a dream punk that you'd like to acquire one day?
Well, I mean, I have a dream punk, but I probably will not acquire it. It would be an alien with the purple cap.
Yes, that one's really cool.
There is one.
I wonder who actually owns that. I'm not.
I don't know.
I haven't seen that one around. Yeah, that one's really cool. And what do you sort of think about punks? Are they works of art to you, or just a collectible? Like, how do you sort of see them in your eyes?
Well, I mean, I think they are works of art. For me, the punks, I mean, actually, it's like a key to a door into a completely different world or new world. As I mentioned, I mean, none of my friends or whatever, or even closer people closer to me, none of them, they are not basically not part of this world. And for me, it was like eye-opening to see, to follow other punks, to see what they are doing. I think it's really a great community of very different people from different areas, like artists, like Web3 founders, people from traditional finance, and on, you know. So that is really fascinating to me.
Yeah,
and yeah.
Ralph, I've noticed as well that you've changed your profile picture on LinkedIn in the real world to a CryptoPunk as well. I mean, that's a pretty big signal of your identity in the real world. Has anybody asked you about that?
To be honest, nobody. I have my profile picture on WhatsApp is a punk. My profile, every app I have, my profile picture is my punk. Even in my car, when I get in the internal system, you can also put in a picture, and it welcomes me with usually "Hello, Punk1287." So every time I drive, I see my punk. No, never. Nobody asked me about it.
Wow, must think it's old, which is kind of cool. Why do you think that is? Like, I mean, your friends or your friendship circles. Why do you think like they haven't taken much of an interest into crypto and NFTs and like? Are they just?
I mean, it's a generational problem, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they just. I mean, now we have this ETF, which people say that will help the boomer generation to get access to this asset class. We all hope that will be the case, and I try to educate them, but it's not that easy. So some of my friends are just basically not interested in it. They are happy the way it is for them, and that's that. You know, first of all, it would be Bitcoin. They first of all need to buy cryptocurrencies before even you can talk about NFTs to them. NFTs is like a step further down the road.
Advanced, yeah, for sure. No, that's exciting. So that's just really great to see. I guess people of your sort of caliber, your heritage, jumping into the punk sort of community straight off the bat too. So and obviously you're sort of enjoying it. So it's good to sort of see that diversity sort of kicking through. When you look across, I guess the wider crypto punk community, do you have like any favorite punk personalities that you sort of like listening to?
Well, I mean, Susan NFT is I would say my favorite punk, because she really helped me a lot when I was starting to get into buying generative art. I usually consulted her before I, for example, before I bought my punk, before I bought the Fidenzas and the Ringers and the Scromy Squiggles and whatever. So she was a lot of, and still is a lot of help in that respect. Then I like to follow Punk1287.
Yeah.
Like to read his threads. And the third one basically would be you.
Thanks, Ralph. Appreciate it.
Because I think it's great. Your PunkCast, I mean, that really helps. That helped me to see, what the diverse group the punks are.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm not that well connected to the punk community. But that really helped me in that respect.
Thank you so much for saying that, Ralph. It really means a lot, and appreciate those sentiments. But massive shout out to Suzanne as well, because I think she's the one that introduced us, or put me on to you.
Right.
And a real huge treasure and asset for the punk community, because she does so much. I think she's a mod in the Discord now, and but I guess her tweet threads are really informational, right? So they teach me a lot about gen art and the like as well, and just about collecting and curation. So a massive shout out to Suzanne if you're listening. And on that basis as well, Ralph, like, how would you describe punk culture from your sort of time in the punk community?
Well, I mean, punk culture, it's a bit difficult for me to describe, because I don't know any punks in real life, and basically know many punks from your podcast, and maybe a bit from Twitter. But as I mentioned, I mean, I think it's just a very interesting group of people, probably an elite group of people in their respective fields, being it artists or Web3 developers or whatever, and that's the feeling I get from the punks.
Absolutely, and that's something to be proud of. But also at the same time, I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because if we go out and sort of say that CryptoPunks are elite, it sounds like we're elitist and not open and warm and friendly. But I think that's
absolutely not true. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's a very open, very friendly, very welcoming, welcoming culture. And my plan is, maybe this year, maybe next year, to participate more in these events and get to know the other punks in real life as well.
Absolutely. I think you should, if you do get the opportunity, definitely go along to those punk events, because it's where the game changes. You start, seeing things differently, and everything on Twitter becomes real, right? So, but yeah, so no, I'm not disagreeing with you that we are elite. 100% agree with you. But it's just how I think.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
some people outside.
It's difficult word to.
And how do you feel about V1 punks? Do you have a view on V1 punks?
No, I have none, and I'm still pretty, let's say, young in this space, and I entered the punk buying punks after these long time after the V1s and all this controversy about them. So I'm pretty open. I think both communities have a right to be around, and but I have no strong feelings about them or whatever.
Gotcha. And what are your thoughts about, I guess, the Yuga acquisition and punks being owned by Yuga?
I think it's a good thing. I don't see anything controversial about them.
I agree. Well, Ralph, this was super fun, and really appreciate you spending time to to come and speak on PunkCast. I guess one sort of final closing question for you before we sort of leave it. But if you could pass on a message to the next owner of your Punk 1287, what would you like to say to them?
So the Punk will go to my son, and I will tell him never sell it. Just keep it forever.
Cherished for life. Amazing. Ralph, thanks again, and appreciate you coming on. And I guess, if we ever catch up, we'd love to sort of go for a bike ride with you.
Absolutely. I've been riding. Are you now in Hong Kong or in Australia?
I'm back in Hong Kong. I was in Australia.
I've been riding in Hong Kong.
Oh, you've been riding in Hong Kong, have you?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Whereabouts?
1 or 2 times.
Like, it must be pretty hard because it's pretty hilly around here.
Yeah, well, I like hills. That's not the issue. But
I'm just weak.
But the roads are narrow, and you have to be a bit outside of the city. But there are big bike clubs, lots of bike clubs in Hong Kong, and they ride quite regularly, pretty early in the mornings usually, because of traffic.
Yeah. Wait, were you living in Hong Kong for a while? Or?
No, but I had a friend who is also a bike rider, and he lived in Hong Kong for several years, and I visited him from time to time, and we did a bike race in Thailand called Tour of Friendship. It's it's a 4-day stage race, and there was a group of from a Hong Kong bike club usually there, including him, and they invited me to join them. So I raced along the side of these Hong Kong guys, and the team was called Project 852.
Okay, nice. Project 852.
Right.
852 being the country code for Hong Kong. Yep.
Yeah. So these were
awesome.
mostly expats, like you or whatever,
Yeah, amazing. No, I need to find a way to get a bike here, or convince the wifey to let me get one in the house. We're just short on space, but would love to sort of get one here. Because I think there would be some really nice spots to go riding here if you can find it, like on the outside islands. But I'm just a little bit scared about the hills because my legs and cardio is probably not that great just yet.
Yeah, but that's a question of training. You will get there. If you take it seriously, you will get there pretty quickly.
Yeah, we'll do. Also, thank you so much again, Ralph. And I guess, flipping over to you, any sort of final closing comments, and, what's the best way for people to find you if they want to connect?
Well, Twitter is the best, Rolf Sick, or Racing Rolf at Rolf Sick. And but thanks you a lot for having me. It was great talking to you.
Awesome. Thanks again, Ralph. Guys, that wraps up an episode of PunkCast for the week, and we'll be back next week with another amazing punk. Bye for now.